We are back with another 2024 brush collection video, and today we're going to talk about Sigma. We're going to reapply Tillamook. This is my third brush collection video of the day, so my lips is hella shiny and glowy and moisturized. So we're going to do Sigma. I did a Sigma soft collection brush video, but I realized I didn't talk about the eyeshadow brushes that I have. So just to recap really quick, and yes, my Sigma brushes stay in their own little thing there. So we're going to recap really quick. This is the Soft Collection Soft Coverage F48. I do like it for foundation, but I found that I like the F08 better for foundation because of the angle of it. I can get like directly under my eyes. If I were in the cream and serum blushes, blushes, bronzers, and highlighters, I would use this one for that because this is very dense. It cleans well, it holds its shape well. But for me, it was awesome for foundation, but for getting into the nooks and crannies, I just prefer this shape better. So I only have one of these. Y'all know when I like a brush, I buy more. But when I tried this one for foundation, I was like, that's the one. So, but this is a good one. Grace has one. She loves it. And I do have a Shop My link for Sigma's website. And whatever sale they're having, even going through my Shop My link to get to the site, you will have access to their sales. And so I do recommend that you do keep a lookout for their sales and you use my link. It is affiliated, so if you don't mind that, I would appreciate you're using that. So this one, I think it would, if you underpaint, I think this would be great for underpainting because it will deposit it and then you can keep it darker because then you're going to put a light layer of foundation on top of it. But this is a good brush for your cheek products and for foundation, which is what it's for. But you can use brushes for whatever reason it works best for you. But this does say soft coverage, and why am I looking shiny? I don't know. So backtracking to the F08, I do now have 3 of these because y'all know when I like a brush, I get more. It does stain a little bit, and so I make it a point to use the one that's stained more so than the ones that are not. So I'm going to put those two away. And as I was saying, I love this for foundation because I can get right up in here in the eyes. I can come right down between my brows. If I'm missing foundation in here, I can use the tip of the brush to get in here, and I can go along the top of my brows. I do my brows before my base face, and so this allows me to still get around those corners and in the corners of my nose, which is always red, and whatever other nooks and crannies that I have. This, though, says Precision Powder Brush. So initially, because on the website, they showed using it for pressed powder under the eyes or loose powder under the eyes. And I did that and it worked well, but it deposited too much. And it may just be because I'm used to using a more loose brush and a fluffier brush. But I did use it and I did tap off the powder. So it's not like I just like went in and patted it. But it deposited too much powder for my liking. And it left my under eyes looking a little dry and cakey. So I'm like, I'm going to find a purpose for this. And I use it for foundation. And I love it for that so much that I have 3. One of the joys for me of synthetic brushes is that you can use it for creams, powders, or liquids, or serums, or gels. It does not matter. My skin doesn't tolerate natural hair brushes, and so you will not see me ever use a natural hair brush. Back in the day I did, and it didn't turn out well. But one of the joys, as I said, with synthetic brushes, you can use it for any formula. Any formula. And all of these brushes do clean up well, except it did start to stain. And usually if after I wash it and it still has foundation stain in it, I'll let it dry and then I'll just wash it again the next day, and it does take more of it out. And it might be what I'm using. I use Dawn dish detergent. I did try the Sigma because a couple purchases, they sent me the sample of the cleaner. So I had like 3 of these. And so I said, you know what? Let me try this liquid brush cleaner, Sigmatic brush shampoo. It did not take out all the product, and I was trying to clean the brushes for the Pride look when I used all the different gel liner colors for my brows and my face. It did not take the gel liner out of those brushes, and I'm like, but this is supposed to be like, what? Like, why it didn't work? So I'm like, you know what? So I ended up using Dawn detergent, and it just came right out. So I'm going to stick with Dawn dish detergent. But so when something does stain a little bit for this type of brush, and I do like that the bristles are darker, so it's not going to look, we're going to get to it, but I'm going to show you a Fenty brush. It's not going to look like this because the bristles are already darker. But I find that if I do I clean it, wait for it to dry, and wash it again, it will take out more of the product. And so this is the one that's the most stained, and it's the one I usually go to because it is a little bit stained already. But I really do love this brush, and this also would be good for like contouring because of how it fits depending on the shape of your face, and also for blush, and even if you want to use the tip of it, you know, just for highlighter. So there's a lot of uses you can get from this brush, but for me, this has become my go-to for foundation. I have 2 of these. Let's do this one next. This is the F43, and it's a soft angled cheek brush. I love this. These brushes are so soft. I love this brush. I love this for cheek products. I love it for bronzer. I love it for blush. I love it for using the tip of it to do highlighter. I just love the shape of this brush. And I think it is because of the shape of it, because you put your product on it, and if you're using it pointy side up, you're putting the flat side here, and that's going to deposit the most color. So when you sweep it back and forth, or if you're blending, the top part will automatically blend out the top edge of that product. And I have used this with Haus Labs, and them Haus Labs blushes, the darker tones, they can go deep. This works really well with that, and it blends it out so well and so perfect. And also the bronzers. If I go too heavy with the bronzer, especially, what was it? The Sigma, the darkest bronzer they have. I put it on, I was like, oh shit. I do curse on my channel sometimes. But when I blended it and buffed it out, it was perfect. This brush right here. And I don't know why I only have 2 of them. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because I have 3 of the foundation. Well, what are the ones I use for foundation? I don't know why. But we're going to let that go for now. I'm not going to think too hard about it, because then I want to even number all the brushes. So let me just keep it moving. So these 3... that is curious. I have 3 of the ones I use for foundation, 3 of these, 1 of the foundation one, and 2 of the last one I showed you. Because when the collection first came out, it was a 5-piece collection. I didn't want all of them, all 5 of them. So I just picked like the 4. And so that's how I ended up with odd numbers. But I did go back and forth on which ones do I really like and for what, because I tried them all for different purposes to see which ones will I really use. And once I tried the one I showed you I like for foundation, I'm like, this is my foundation brush. So this one is the 4. It is not. This is F11. It's a soft sculpt. So hearing soft sculpt, I would think it was for sculpting. And I like that it is kind of tapered, and then it's fluffy at the top. So when I hear sculpting, I think of using the tip, and you can see the natural hollow of my cheek. So when I hear sculpting, I think of sculpting like for contour, but I use contour and bronzer interchangeably. But this is good for that. I have used it for that. Because I have a puffy face, even with bronzers, I tend to use the wider part of a brush to sweep it here and then sweep it up, and I'll use the tip of the brush to come down and around through the perimeter of my face, and, you know, get into my 5 head corners and go across and then blend it. So I do like this brush for that. I have used this for bronzer and how I just showed you, and I've used it to place blush and then to blend it out with blush. And I've also used the tip of it for highlighter, and it works great for all of that. But I really love this brush, and in a pinch, I would go light to dark. I would do highlighter, do the blush, and then do the bronzer. If I only had one of these, I would use it, all of that, and just wipe it off in between the different products. But this one, I just love those brushes. I love it. This came free with purchase. This is Sigma F03. It says high cheekbone highlighter brush. It came free with purchase. It retails for $21. And I used it for highlighter, and I love it. I just tap it on and then go back and blend it. Tap it on, go back and blend it. This brush is nice. This came free with purchase along with the bronzer, which retails for like $35. I'm just like, you sending me $55 worth of free stuff? And my order wasn't even that much. So I'm just like, oh. But that's how I ended up with this one. And I do really like it so much that I was like, why would they put this as free gift with purchase? Like, this is a really nice brush. Because some brands, they send you stuff and it's like, yeah, I see why it's free. But this is a nice brush. And also Fenty, their free gifts with purchases, they be like really nice gifts with purchases. And I'm realizing Sigma is the same way. And I see why Grace loves that brand. She does have a code. The thing with the code though, is if they're having a sale and you need a code for the sale, you can only use one of the 2 codes. I don't know if she has a Shop My link. And so what I have done, I went through my Shop My link to get to the Sigma site, and then I used her code. So that way, you know, win-win for both of us. But she does have a code. So if something is not on sale or it's on sale and you don't need a code, feel free to use her code. I believe it might be Gel Beauty or it might be Gel Beauty 87. I'm not sure. But this is the highlighter brush and I love it. I love that brush. And that is the only reason I use it. But you could also use it for powdering under your eyes too. And it is a very soft brush. It is very nice. So the other one I have, oh, I need to backtrack for that one. These three, I want to say Grace has sent to me. It was a while ago. She sent me a whole box of Sigma stuff. And I was just like, oh, did I win the lottery? Like, what happened? But I'm glad she did because I don't check for Sigma. But I was just like, oh, like they really do have nice stuff. And I see why, like she raves about Sigma. This was one that she sent me. It says E25 Max Blending. So this is a blending brush. It did stain a little bit as you see. And I have used it for blending out eyeshadow and also for packing on shadow. But it was a little different than what I'm used to. It's a little more flexible. Like you see, it comes like almost all the way down. This is a very flexible brush. So if you do have a powdery shadow, I think this would be good for that. You could get it on a brush, and I think it would be really great for that. I don't use this that often because there's just other brushes I have that I prefer more. But it's a thing of whatever your preference is. And I am sweating. Look at my face, all these darn lights. But I do like it. I just have other ones I prefer more. And I think it has to do with how flexible it is, even though it does work really well. And you could place and then just go in and blend into your crease at the same time. Like place it across your lid and then go back and blend. So this is a nice brush. That is a nice one. So that can go home. That goes over here. Or maybe I should put that here and use that for that. These other two that she sent me, these brushes are funny to me. These brushes are funny to me, and I'm going to tell you why. This one right here says E49 Medium Tapered Blending. This one says E45 Max Small Tapered Blending. Why is the small tapered blending longer and fluffier than the medium tapered blending? And I looked on the website, so I said maybe that was just an error with this one, but no, that's what they are. And maybe because this is the E45 Max. But I'm like, how is the smaller one bigger than the medium one? I don't use this that often because I don't, and maybe it's my eye shape. Like I don't need a fluffy, as long as this isn't as fluffy as this is, like it was just too much for me. And I wasn't able to control where I was putting my shadow in my transition area because of, like, look at this brush is huge. But what I find it helpful for is if I just want to just sweep over everything I've done, you know what I mean? Or if I just wanted to pull out the shadow a little bit over here. But as far as just using it for a blending brush, even though it is tapered somewhat, I just couldn't really control where the shadow was going because the bristles were just, because it's so big. But if you have a different eye shape than mine, or an eye shape like Grace does, or another one who's good for, they have similar eye shapes, almost similar eye shapes, is Jasmine, the Buffet Witch. Like she has like all this space. This would be great for that because she would just be able to use this to do this. And you see even doing this, how it's going all the way up to my brows, and I'm just trying to do my transition area. So this is just a little too big for me. I do think this will be great for those of you who set your primer with setting powder. This would be great for this because you can just do this and the whole eye is done because the brush is so big. You can just set your whole entire eyelid area from your lash line up to your brow like super quick with this brush. And it is a soft brush. It is a nice brush. It's just too big for me. But once in a while I will use it and just the tip of it and very carefully. And I have to slow myself down because if I do like I regularly do, it'll just be everywhere. Like it's just everywhere. But I am, you know, able to, if I go slow like now, just do my transition area and just kind of blend out the top edge of my lid shades, or you know, use it to pull out shadow here, which is something that Grace does a lot. And I do see her using her Sigma brushes a lot. And so that is that one. So that goes there. The other one, the medium one, this one I use more because it's a little bit smaller, so I can control more. And you see, even going back and forth because it's shorter, it's not as loose. And so this one I can go a little quicker and just be like, okay, let me just blend out this top line, or let me use the tip and, you know, put this transition shade up here. Let me just kind of, you know, feather this out. So this one I use more because it's smaller and it lets me do what I want to do without having to slow down and or and or be concerned with. It's just going to just go everywhere like how the larger one did. And so I am really glad that she sent these to me, because I wouldn't have tried them. But now I'm like checking for Sigma brushes. And you could pack on your lid too with this one. Just like how I said you can set your primer with the larger one. You can even just use this just to put shadow on your lid. And that's something I did, not with this brush, but another one the other day, and I was surprised how well it worked. So let's just see how that might work with this one. This is just really too fluffy. Yeah, this I think is great if you just want to light wash a color, because this is just really just super fluffy and super long. But this one definitely I can see using this to pack shadow on my lid, using the side of it and then going in with the pointy part, the taper part, and blending into the crease and then coming out to pull the shadow out over here. That I can definitely see me doing. And I do like this brush. As I said, I do use this sometimes. This one, okay, that's it for Sigma. Oh, suck it now. We're going to backtrack to Sephora because I forgot to show this one when I did my Sephora brush collection video. This is hella friggin' old. Excuse me. This is hella friggin' old. This is a number 42. It says Pro Drawing Blending. Now, when I was saying how the Sigma one was like super long and fluffy, this is bigger than that. This was on clearance for like $15 or $18 years ago. Years and years and years and years ago. And I'm like, that brush look big as hell. Like, what the hell? But it was on clearance. So I said, you know what, I'll buy it. I purchased it. And what I learned that I loved it for, and I've been using a Fenty primer, eye primer, for almost since they came out with it. And for me, it's a sticky primer. So for me, I have to tap on shadow and then go back and blend it. Because of how fluffy this is, I can just, you know, swipe it in the shadow. And because of how fluffy it is, it allows me to go straight over. Whereas with a different brush, I have to tap it first to get it on the primer and then blend it out. But this brush allows me, on top of the Fenty primer, go straight across. And so when it says drawing, it is just drawing right here. I don't use it often for no particular reason. And I think because when I do my eyeshadow, you know, I do my lid and then I do transition, and then it's like, it's too late to do this. If I was going to do this area first, I love this brush for that. And it does the entire crease and the transition area, as you see. So this might be a use for the larger Sigma one as well, but I would just need to remember to like use it right away. But just doing what I just did, this one is a lot softer, and maybe just because it's longer. But yeah, this would be good for me to use first before I did lid shades, because it will allow me, hopefully like this one does, to just go straight across the Fenty primer. This one is softer, a little bit softer, maybe because it's longer. But this does allow me to go straight over like this on the Fenty primer without having to tap it on first. And so I haven't used it for a while just because I be changing up the order of my eyeshadow application. But this is a nice brush, and I like this so much, I went back online a few days later. It was not on the website, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? And so I went into the store, and I'm like, maybe it's in the clearance, you know, section, like the end cap or something. It was not in the store. It was gone. And I'm like, damn, if I had known I was going to like it, I would have purchased two, because they were on clearance for like either $15 or $18. And I've had this brush a hella long time, and you see it still looks good. Like, y'all, I take care of my brushes. So that is it for the Sigma brushes. A recap for that. So I'll probably post this last after all the other brush collection videos, because I do feel like I recently did a Sephora soft collection brush collection video, and today is June 24th, I believe. So you'll see this probably in August. You'll see it when you see it. But thank you, and do let me know if these are helpful to you. I'm going to put my brush collection playlist up here, and down here I'll put something that I think may be interesting for you to watch. Other than that, you can find my playlists and videos on my channel. Join, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think about the Sigma brushes. And if you have a favorite brush, or a brush you really like and you only have one of, and you're just like, I wish they would bring it back, let me know that too. So that'll be it for this video. Thank you. And we didn't do the intro, but as always, self-acceptance, self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.